Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sermon Mondays. I'm so glad that you're with us today. Today, our topic that we're going to be talking about today is actually Queen of Sheba and King Solomon. Now, some of y'all, if you've been in church one way or another, like me, if you've been in Sunday school or you've been in church, I'm pretty sure you heard about the old story of the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon. But before I get to Queen of Sheba and Solomon, I want to talk about King Solomon. Because the reason why I'm going to talk about King Solomon first before I get into Queen of Sheba, because it's going to go with it, matter of fact, is Solomon's wisdom. Because that's why she went to see Solomon. She heard rumors about Solomon's wisdom. So she was curious. So the story goes that when Solomon took the throne, he didn't know anything about political life. Of course, he knew about royalty. He knew about money and high living, but he didn't know about royalty, the court and how the court ran. And he just didn't know a lot of stuff. He wasn't experienced. So he asked God for wisdom. He said, Lord, give me wisdom that I can judge what is right and what is wrong. And because of that, Israel was blessed because of one man humbling himself and asking God for help. I mean, he was blessed. His nation was blessed. He did things that if the things that he built, if I'm pretty sure if they would exist today, like King Solomon's palace and the temple, I'm sure that'll probably be one of the great seven wonders of the ancient world. It would probably be right behind the China Wall, the Great Pyramids, and all these great architects or buildings in the world. I'm pretty sure Solomon would have been right behind them in his building projects. This man has so much great wisdom. Of course, now sadly his palaces is gone. The temple is that Solomon's temple is no longer with us, and a lot of great architect things that some things exist here and there, but sadly a lot of it got destroyed when the Babylonians came on the Nebuchadnezzar, and they destroyed Jerusalem and destroyed Judah and took them captive to Babylon. So, sadly, we don't have a lot of the structures of King Solomon and his day because of the wars and troubles they had back then. But anyway, but this man has so much wisdom. I mean, it was said, I was watching a video one time, and they were talking about how rumors of people, traders from all over the world, people who came from other countries, they were amazed at King Solomon's city of Jerusalem, how he added on to Jerusalem and how his palace and the temple, people, the whole world was amazed of King Solomon's palace and temple. And so I'm pretty sure that Queen of Sheba, she heard about all the rumors. She heard about the stories of the traders that went to Israel and people from all over the world that went to Israel to trade with the Jewish people or to do business. And they would come back and say, wow, you should have saw that palace that King Solomon built and the temple. Oh my goodness, he really loved his God. You should have saw how that temple was so orchestrated and so beautifully made, the masonry and the architect that was put into his palace and his temple, and Jerusalem, how he added the city, and he made the city bigger and more stronger in its walls, and he made it more beautiful and stronger than ever, even stronger than the days of his dad, King David. I mean, she heard the rumors back in her kingdom, and she was curious. She was like, I'm hearing all these rumors. I wonder if this true, if this man is really wise, like they said he is. I wonder if his kingdom is really great and prosperous, like the rumors that I heard from these traders and these people who went there. I wonder if it's true. It's kind of like us. When we hear people talk or we hear rumors of something, we owe it to ourselves to know the truth, to go dig for the truth itself. And we have no excuse today because we have Google, we have the internet, we have technology now that we can dig for ourselves. We can search for the truth if we really want it. There's no excuse. The technology we have today, you can search for it easy. I mean, this the tap of your fingers, you can find almost anything now. It's amazing. So she wanted to find out. And it's the same thing in us. You know, she did not take what people say, like, she took it like, okay, she was like, well, I'm going to search it myself. I'm not just going to put all my eggs in the basket. I'm just not just going to believe them. I'm going to search it myself. You know, a lot of people today, they're not doing like she did, sadly. A lot of people, they just take, when a preacher says something, or I'm not against preachers or ministers or denominations if it's right, but sadly, a lot of people are lazy. They're like, well, whatever my preacher or priest says or my denomination says, I'm just going to believe it, you know, and they don't go search. They don't, you know, they don't be curious and say, you know, is it true what my preacher or priest is saying? Is it in the Bible? Is it really truth historically? Some people are like, I just believe it and I go on my lives and I just believe what that certain person tells me, and they don't go dig for themselves. Number one, they're lazy, or two, they put so much confidence that they just don't go search. And I think that's a wrong decision one way or another. You should always be like the Queen of Sheba. You should always dig for the truth and always take everything with a grain of salt. You know, everything should be balanced right with the Word of God. So she did that. Now, the Queen of Sheba, there's a lot of theories of what her kingdom is at. One of them, the best known one, of course, is that rumors have it that she was in Ethiopia. That's a country is in Africa. That's not far from the modern day country of Sudan. And a lot of people think that she came from Ethiopia. There's a lot of traditions and legends. You know, mostly if you into the Ark of the Covenant type stuff, Indiana Jones or type mystery type stuff, that's one of the big things that they point to, that the Queen of Sheba was Queen of Ethiopia. So that's one of the big theories that mostly you're going to find probably 90% of the time if you're doing your research. But there's another theory that I never heard about before. Some people say, well, she was not even Queen of Ethiopia. She was queen of the modern day country of Yemen. That's close to modern day Saudi Arabia is at. That's way in the Gulf. You have to go look in the map. But some people believe that that's where her kingdom was at, somewhere in there, in the Middle East. Some say it's in Africa or the Middle East or both. So there's a lot of theories of where her kingdom could be at. And some people, the Bible don't really point, some people say per se of where her kingdom was at. All it says that she came from the south. So there's a couple of theories. So I find that was pretty interesting. But anyway, she traveled. And she went on camels, you know, and back then they had trade roads back in the day, so that she probably took that route, and she went to go see Solomon. And she was prepared. She brought money, she brought questions, and she was ready. And Solomon knew she was ready. And so God gave Solomon wisdom. She asked every question, and Solomon answered every one. And she was blown away by just him talking to her, and she examined everything he did, how he judged the people, how he built everything, and she was just amazed how he had so much wisdom. Did you know Solomon studied ants? I know a lot of people's like, why study ants? Solomon was so wise, and he had so much, he wanted to learn so much. He studied ants. He really went to an ant pile, some people believe, and he studied ants, how they preserved and how they saved, and they saved up to the winter time, and how, I mean, it's amazing, this man, she was blown away how he learned from the biggest things to the simplest small things. He had tons of information on, and she was just blown away. The Bible pretty much, in other words, in our term of language, he took her breath away. She was amazed of how much wisdom, just Solomon himself, she was amazed. And then that's not counting the building projects, the wisdom, the architect, the masonry, and the design that was put into the temple and his palace and around Jerusalem, and and she was just amazed how Solomon had this, the gift to build and put things together. And she was amazed even at his servants. She was amazed, and she was raised in royalty. She was rich. This is not no poor queen. She was in a rich kingdom, if I heard the story right, one way or another. Ethiopia or in Yemen. her country was wealthy. They were on the trade routes. They trade with other countries, and I think as far as India. I mean, these people was wealthy, and she was blown away how King Solomon even orchestrated his servants, how even their servants were treated with wisdom and everything. And she was blown away how even Solomon's servants was organized, and she, she couldn't believe it. And she told Solomon, she said, all the rumors that I heard was true. And it's the same thing with us. We should tell people that. We should tell people, look, I watched something on YouTube. I heard a sermon, or I heard a conspiracy theory, and I did my research, and I'm amazed how good bit of it was true. So that's what we have to say to people. You tell people, look, I did my research. I went to the trade routes. I went to meet Solomon, and I found out it was true. Now, the last part I want to leave with is that Solomon's kingdom was the golden age. I mean, Israel has never had an age like David and Solomon. It was their golden age. You can call it Israel's Renaissance. I mean, it was the best of times. Israel was a prosperous nation. Israel was at peace, and they had plenty of food, and they say the gold was so abundant. It was just a natural thing. You can even make a road. They said they had so much gold. You can make a road out of it, the gold they had in Israel. I don't know if that's true or what, but it's just to show you how rich King Solomon's kingdom was. It was the best of times. Of course, it wasn't perfect. There was cracks, I guess you could say, in the cement. There was some things that Solomon did. Yes, it was royalty, and it was the best of times in Israel's time, but he taxed the people, and he was slowly, starting from chapter 10 to 11, or the end of these chapters for sure, he starts falling away, and problems start coming in the paradise, I guess you can say. But anyway, it was Israel's golden age, and Israel today still desire to get back to this kingdom. I mean, they never forgot it. It's still in their memory. It's fresh. Like it was yesterday, Solomon's kingdom in the Jewish people's eyes. And they still dream in the Jewish people, no matter if they're in Israel, no matter what, in the United States, wherever they're at in the world, they still dream of bringing back the King Solomon's golden age. But it will, because Christ will come back one day. Christ will restore the kingdom of Solomon, in a way speaking, because Solomon's kingdom is a symbol of what is to come. It's a foreshadow of when Christ will come and set up his kingdom. So every time you think, when you read the book of Kings and you're reading about King Solomon's kingdom, you are looking at the future. You're looking at when Jesus, King Solomon's great-great-great-grandson, and David's great-great-grandson, he's going to come one day, and he's going to restore the earth back to his golden age, back to the Garden of Eden. And so when you read these scriptures, it's not just history, it's not just stories and legends or just a good story. Yes, it is, of course, but the one thing you have to learn from King Solomon's kingdom is that it was a symbol of Christ's kingdom that's going to be coming. Just like Solomon's kingdom, when there was peace and there was harmony and everybody was everyone was fed. Nobody starved. There was abundance. I guess you can call it the middle class golden age. Everyone was equal. Everyone had this, it was just a blessed time in Israel's time. They were prosperous. And because of that peace, they prospered because they had no wars. The population grew because there was no wars to fight. Nobody was dying. I mean, it was a good time in Israel's history. And it will happen again. And as Christians, we're looking forward to that day. Like Peter said, matter of fact, and brothers are searching, we're in Peter right now. And I think it's the last scripture when Peter, or the other book of Peter, the second Peter, when he talks about how we look forward that one day God's going to make a new heaven and a new earth where the elements will melt. In other words, God's going to burn up this old earth and make a new earth. He's going to bring us back to new garden conditions. He's going to bring us back to Adam and Eve and back to King Solomon's kingdom. So as a Christian, you can look forward to these rewards. You can look forward to these promises. And Solomon is one of the great pictures in the Bible that show you that it will happen. The golden age, just like King Solomon's day, will happen again. So I hope you enjoyed this little sermon, and I hope it was a blessing to you, and I hope you look at Bathsheba, the Queen of Sheba, and King Solomon's reign or the story like you've never seen it before. So I want to thank you for watching this short video, and please share it. You know, it's amazing if you can share this video with others, and you know, it's a blessing. And watch Brothers Are Searching. That's a blessing as well. And I encourage you to go look at my book, The New Kingdom. It's available on ebooks and it's available on paperback. So I encourage you to go look it up today. You can go look it up on Amazon's platform. So I want to thank you for joining me today, and I hope you learned a lot. So thank you, and God bless.